What is one exciting new development in the field that you're working in, and how do you see it shaping the future?
I would say in the field of AI, probably the most exciting thing right now is these large language models. Everyone is familiar with ChatGPT or other models that are in the market and you can interact with. I think that's probably the most interesting thing. And what it can change, I think, is our interface with the machine. So far we've been typing things, whether that's on a keyboard or on our phone, or programmers have been building and coding software. I think all of that interface is going to change and become more human language. So as a software engineer, you wouldn't need to learn Python or C++, or as a consumer, you wouldn't need to type something on your smartwatch or on your phone. I think the machines are going to start to understand language. They have already. It's just a matter of getting it from 90% accuracy to 100% accuracy, and that's going to have a monumental effect in the way that we interact with machines and the way that machines interact with us.
How can we encourage diversity and inclusion in STEAM?
Great question. So I think first we should start why it matters. The reason that it matters is because in science and technology and anything that's in STEAM, ultimately there's subjectivity that's in the decision-making process. And even in the most mathematical realization or discovery, there are experiments. Same thing with the physical experiments. And I think the reason that we want diversity is that different individuals with different perspective, different paths of life can bring that subjectivity to the field of science and technology. So I think that's why it matters. And then the way that we can do that is by focusing on the things that we're trying to get and walk backwards. So if I'm trying to hire for a new position or fill for a new position, I want to start with all the requirements of that job and then try to get rid of all the proxies and biases that I have in my mind, so about particular university, about particular gender, and focus on the things that matter to get that job done, and then provide more opportunities to everyone. Ultimately, diversity is going to be about creating more opportunity and equal opportunity for everyone, so whoever is interested can have equal chance of fighting for that same role.
What is the biggest misconceptions people have about your field of work?
Yeah, I think probably in AI, the biggest misconception is some might think it's magic. It feels magical sometimes, and you interact with it. It sounds magical. However, it's not really magic, and it's not 100% accurate. So I'm sure you've heard of these things called hallucination or inaccuracies of AI. And AI, a lot of these language models specifically fail at basic reasoning, which is what is 2 plus 2? You could try to find different ways so it can get tricked to say 2 plus 2 is not 4, right? So the reasoning element, I think, is still missing. And the misconception there is because these language models are good at generating text, they give us the feeling that, oh, they can reason.
If you could go back in time at any point, what would you do?
I'll probably go back to 2,500 years ago, around the Cyrus the Great era. First, because he's Persian, I just want to meet the guy and then see what his beard looks like. And then secondly, I've heard so much about that era. I'm very curious to see how people actually used to live. And Cyrus the Great, he himself was an entrepreneur and founder in a sense. He didn't found a company, he founded a country. So I'll be very curious to talk about him and understand his mentality, his philosophy. He was one of the first individuals who established human rights. I want to understand what actually triggered that 2,500 years ago, writing the first human rights on stone tablets, which is insane when we think about it. So that would be the time that I would love to go back if you have a time machine.